Youth are the future of our church. Well, we believe actually that children, youth, and young adults are the church, leading the way and engaging the world around us. And how are you, as a person, as a congregation, or as a mid-council, how are you helping youth and young adults connect with what Jesus taught us in Matthew 25? Stick around, because this is what we're talking about today on Being Matthew 25. Hey y'all, I am Diette Decker, Acting Senior Director of Communications here at the Presbyterian Mission Agency, and I am your host today for Being Matthew 25. Joining me today is the Reverend Dr. Diane Givens Moffett, President and Executive Director of the Presbyterian Mission Agency. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon here. How are you, Diane?
Yes, it's good afternoon here too. I think we're in the same time zone, but it is a new season with school back in, so I hear you. I'm doing really well. Coming off of a vacation with taking care of 3 granddaughters. It was fun. It was exciting. It wasn't restful, but it was fun. But great to be here. I'm excited about the show today. I want to hear what the youth are doing.
I know. It's so exciting to see how the youth are really impacting our world. They really are leading the way in revolutionizing and engaging the world around us. So, we want to talk to them. We want to see how they're doing it. And as part of the Matthew 25 commitment, congregations and mid-councils pledge to focus on one of the 3 foci of Matthew 25, either building congregational vitality, dismantling structural racism, or eradicating systemic poverty. And the Matthew 25 vision offers congregations an opportunity to talk about the larger story, right, of the church's mission in concrete and daily experiences. And this is where it really, I think, comes alive in our youth and young adults. Christian educators, youth leaders are finding that the Matthew 25 concept really resonates with our youth, and especially when they are rooted in community action. First Presbyterian Church of Stillwater, Oklahoma, voted to join Matthew 25 in June of 2020, and they started engaging right away with the whole congregation on all three of those focuses.
Yeah.
But it really was the youth who leaned in to those foci and really led them on their journey.
Well, the foci are intersectional. So
yeah, they are. They're intersectional, and that's the beauty of it, right? So if you think you're focusing on just one, you'll be surprised to find out you're actually, doing something with all 3 of those. So First Presbyterian Church in Stillwater, they were the point of energy. The youth were the point of energy that inspired the intergenerational approach to embracing Matthew 25 in their community. So let's watch this video and hear a little bit more about their story.
I'm excited to watch.
To my school book fair, and I gave it to Nature's Bank. I did it because I wanted kids to get books at the book fair if they didn't have money to. I really wanted to help animals. Nature's Bank saves hurt and wild animals. The money I gave them helps to buy food for the winter months. go bankrupt is because of medical bills. For my Pay It Forward challenge, I donated my money to RIP Medical Debt. RIP Medical Debt helps people that can't pay their medical bills and sometimes lose their house, cars, and can't pay for groceries. On my first day of campaign, my campaign raised $900. Thank you for helping me pay it forward.
Wow, powerful work. Diane, joining us today is Jenna Campbell, Director of Children and Youth Ministry at First Presbyterian, and Mabry Baldwin, Senior at Stillwater High School. Mabry is actually joining us from school this morning. Thank you both for being with us today.
Great.
Thanks for having us.
Goodness, technology.
I know, Mabry's got the skills. Look at that. Mabry, I wonder if you could tell us about your experience in doing this work of engaging with Matthew 25. What did you learn?
I honestly, doing Matthew 25 definitely expanded my view on what it means to be a Christian, and it opened my eyes to that not everyone can control their situation. And definitely anytime I saw homeless people on the street or I saw people not doing super well, I knew that they maybe couldn't control the situation that they were in, and that maybe it was generational or they just didn't have privilege. And that's definitely the biggest thing that I learned from Matthew 25.
Jenna, we know that on the video, some of the children were talking about the Pay It Forward challenge. Can you tell us what that challenge was and how you saw that come to life in your church and your community?
Yeah, I would love to. It was really a powerful challenge that we had last year. We had a wonderful former member of the congregation who in her estate left money to the church unrestricted. And so we got $5,000 of that money as children and youth, and we decided to offer a Pay It Forward challenge. We had 31 children and youth participate, so 1st through 12th graders. They came to a Pay It Forward kickoff celebration where they got $150 in cash, and they were asked to make a difference in the world. And so there was also some materials that went home with their families to encourage dinner conversations or car conversations about where they see need in the world, prayer prompts for how they could pray for how God might be leading them to use that money. And so it led to some wonderful family conversations, and it led to empowering our children and youth to make a difference now. So from that initial $5,000, we encouraged them to grow their gifts and multiply their impact, and an additional $8,500 was given in addition to that original $5,000 in the Pay It Forward money. We had 23 different organizations and projects that received funds. We had a whole booklet full of all of the projects and descriptions of them on our website, but you heard from one of them with the medical debt. She contacted RIP Medical Debt and started an Oklahoma campaign, and the goal was $5,000, and she started with $150. She ended up meeting the goal, and through RIP Medical Debt and how that works, over $750,000 of medical debt was forgiven in the state of Oklahoma to 488 people. So just teaching kids, you might be one person but you can make a difference. And your gift, whatever you have, your gifts, your passions can make a difference in this world. And then Mabry, you might want to share about her project. We had lots of wonderful projects, but Mabry's project with a couple of other of our youth are still ongoing and has made a difference in our community.
Okay, Mabry, that's a great setup. Tell us what you and your friends did with the Pay It Forward challenge.
Yeah, so it was actually me and two of my best friends that I've grown up with in the church. They're actually off at college now, which is crazy. But we decided to start a red pantry because we already had a food pantry at the church, and we knew we wanted to start a pantry for period products because a lot of people can't afford them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, at the bottom shelf of our food pantry, we just raised money from our $150. So we combined all of that, and we were just trying to double our amount. So we had 450 combined, and then we were just trying to double it. But I think we almost tripled our amount on GoFundMe. And we've kept it going, and a lot of people have used it. And it's really cool to just go to church and check on that and see people restocking it and see people taking it, because period products are really expensive. And I know other places have allowed it to be free now for people who menstruate. And it's just, I think, a really good thing for our community to have.
That is a wonderful, wonderful project. And I love that it started with just the three of you. And it was something that the entire congregation embraced and really, really came around. What do you see, Mabry? We have a saying here at the Presbyterian Mission Agency amongst the staff that says, "I used to believe blank. Now I know blank." If you were to complete that statement, how would you fill in those blank? I used to believe blank, but now I know blank.
I would probably, Jenna had us do this at the end of our I guess, curriculum for Matthew 25. And I would probably say I used to believe that being a Christian meant you read the Bible and you prayed and you went to church. And even though I still believe that, now I know that it also is more through action and through helping others and through giving others grace and being open to everyone and not just other people who are Christians.
That will preach. That will preach.
Absolutely. That's the narrative. That is, discipleship is action. We've been called to change the world according to what Jesus Christ has shown us. Yeah. World changers.
Yep.
Not by our own power, but by the Holy Spirit's power and God's word as direction. That's wonderful.
Yeah. There's a saying that I've often heard that says, "You may be the only Jesus people see." And Mabry, I want to say you and your friends sort of, exponentially have shown the love and the grace of Christ to others in your community. I know that you plan on possibly going to, what did you tell me? Definitely not OU, not Oklahoma University, not Oklahoma State University. I think it's Central Oklahoma. What are your plans there? And how do you think, from your experience here with First Presbyterian and what's happened with the church, how do you plan on taking this Matthew 25 and engaging and changing the world? How do you plan on taking that to your college campus?
Yeah, so I'm actually hoping to apply for PLC, which is President's Leadership Council. And I'm hoping through that, I'll just continue to develop my leadership skills and hopefully be involved in service projects. So here, I like to volunteer at Our Daily Bread, which is our local food pantry. And that's definitely a way I hope to show God's love and continue to grow in Matthew 25, is just to keep volunteering and talking to people from different walks of life and keep developing how I am as a leader and a Christian.
Good.
I have a feeling you're going to continue to change the world. Jenna, I would love to hear from you. Bear witness to the impact that you've seen in the spiritual lives of your youth and your church.
Well, I think you can see from Mabry, they're thinking about what faith means and what faith calls them to. I think that through our studies and the experiences that we've had, they are certainly really reflecting on who God is, that God is a loving God, that God cares for those who are oppressed and marginalized, and that we study how Jesus, that's where his focus is, right? That's where his attention is. And if that's where his attention is, that's where ours should be as well. So I think the impact on their spiritual life is really, really what Mabry talked about, connecting faith and action, that faith isn't something that's just for our heads, but that it's for our hearts and for our hands as well. And all of that goes together. Scripture and prayer and worship move us toward faith and action, move us toward those in our communities where God's light can be shined through us and among us in our communities. But faith is an action. I think they're also aware more of the injustices in the world and have a better understanding of what biblical justice looks like in order to act that out. And then I think maybe one of the biggest impacts spiritually for them is knowing that God does and will work through them, that they can be open to how the Spirit might be leading them to live their faith faithfully in this world.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to hear these stories. I know that in part of the curriculum that you talked about the difference between, I believe it was justice and mercy. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? And Jenna, and then maybe Mabry, you can talk a little bit about what you learned from that. Jenna, tell us about the difference between justice and mercy.
Yeah, we focused a lot on really thinking about not just the community issues, kind of the symptoms of community issues of homelessness and food insecurity and poverty. So we learned about those things, which often our acts of mercy address. But we really tried to go to a deeper level to understand more of the systemic issues and problems that undergird those community issues. So also in our study of what faithful mission looks like. So we talked about the difference between colonial mission and post-colonial mission. And I think there's a difference in mercy and justice there as well. Merciful acts, but justice asks why. And we did a lot of asking why, not just, yes, let's give a cup of cold water, but why are people thirsty? And really helping educate ourselves on the why so that we can then be a part of an effort to address those larger structural issues in our society.
I love that. Justice asks why. You've got to go to that deeper level to get to the root cause of what's causing this. So Mabry, how did that strike you at first? Whenever you're learning about, mercy, biblical mercy, and justice, how they go together, but what Christ calls us to.
Yeah, it definitely made me, like Jenna said, look at the root of the problems in our society. And not that charity is necessarily bad, but just it made me notice that I am very privileged and that there are a lot of things I should be grateful for, and a lot of things that when I look at people who are in an unfortunate situation, it makes me kind of take a step back and say, well, why are they, and how can I help with that, rather than just maybe giving them food this time, but then also going to volunteer at our food pantry and help them get groceries every month. And I don't know, it really it was kind of crazy when we talked about it. And I was like, wow, there are so many systems in our world that just put people at a disadvantage from the beginning.
Mhm.
And it was really sad and like disappointing to think about that. And I did a sermon for our youth Sunday that we do every year. And since we did Matthew 25 for like 2 semesters, I think I talked about it multiple times. But I think in my first sermon that I did, I just talked about how from when America was founded, it put people at a disadvantage from the beginning, and how we need to recognize that and not just shove it aside. And
That's great. You're further along than a lot of adults. The church was very, very much involved in that issue, particularly with Black, Indigenous people. And we have to tell the story, not just to make people feel guilty. We have to tell that story to get to the why, and then dismantle it so that the systems can become more just and more fair. Great job. Great. And you too, Jennifer, just, oh my gosh, drawing it out of the youth. Could we clone you?
Well, I think it's just important to recognize that, I mean, our youth, we don't have to drag them along into this, right? They're leading us through this effort. They are looking for ways to see how the church is relevant in this world. And they're leading us through this. We've done several things intergenerationally. We have an anti-racism group of adults that meet, and they met with our youth once just because they wanted to know, what do the youth think about this? They had lots of questions for our youth. It wasn't them coming to talk to our group because they wanted to teach our youth, tell them all the things they need to know, but our youth are seeing what the heart of the gospel is, and they're leading us in that way.
And we need that new narrative. We often talk about that. I talk about it, a new narrative for discipleship that moves beyond just the important aspects of getting in the word and worshiping, like you were saying, Mabry. Those are important, but those are to an end. Those are to an end that we might be empowered to change the world. And you all are doing that and now. And it gives us great hope. Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great hope. Mabry, I know that you have to go in just a few minutes. So a closing question for you. I love that the adults came to the youth and said, we want to learn from you. How are you experiencing this? What do you know about anti-racism? What does that look like in your life? What was that experience like for you as a young adult, having the older, the adults in the church come to you for guidance and to learn from you?
It definitely feels very empowering. I know that every Youth Sunday, we always get people that come up to us and are like, that was amazing. And people, they really enjoy Youth Sunday every year. And it's one of my favorite parts of the year. And so it just makes you feel really, really good, because you're realizing that adults don't always know everything. And it's cool to have people who are open to continue to learn from younger people, because that's what we need in the world. And so I really appreciate it. And it feels good to have adults listening and learning.
I said it at the introduction to this episode, and I will say it again. Children and youth are not the future of our church. They are our church right here, right now, and they are leading the way. So
if we get out of the way, Dee. If we get out of the way.
Absolutely. That's what I was absolutely getting ready to say. Lots of churches have this, kind of token youth Sunday. Bring the youth in every Sunday. Figure out a way for you to learn from them, listen to them. I love the intergenerational approach. And I know that as a former youth pastor, I learned all kinds of stuff from my youth. They opened up my world and my understanding of who God is and what God has called us to do and be in the world. So Mabry, thank you so much for what you taught us today, for sharing your story, your love of Christ. We've got some folks that are running the production in the background, and they have already said that you need to just come on, move to Louisville, be a part of the Presbyterian Mission Agency. You get it. And we love you and what you are doing. Blessings on your journey as you go off to college. So peace be with you. Jenna, we have actually a question for you from our audience. We've got our audience members that are asking what children and youth curriculum you utilized and how can they get it?
Okay, that's a great question. Curriculum is always a question.
Yeah.
So the first year that our youth studied this, we used a curriculum out of Youth Mission Co. Called Journey to Justice. And it really focused on the mission aspect, poverty and race were our kind of three emphases that year. This past year with their particular Matthew 25 focus, I wrote the curriculum, honestly. We did it with our children's program, our 1st through 5th graders, and our youth program, our 6th through 12th graders. So I pulled from a variety of things. We played Justice Monopoly to help us understand more about rules that are in place that give people an unfair advantage or a privilege that others don't have access to. We talked about the root causes of hunger. We brought in an Enviroscape demonstration, which you saw in some of the pictures that help us understand more about the impacts of water pollution. We did a refugee simulation that we found online to help us think more about choices that refugees have to face and what their experiences are like. We talked about access to healthcare. We learned about restorative justice and organizations in our area that are working towards restorative justice. We did the SPENT simulation challenge. So if you've been to playspent.org, it helps you understand what those in poverty, the particular choices that they have to make daily. And then we did the racial wealth gap learning simulation from Bread for the World. And that was also an intergenerational event where we had our youth and adults taking part in learning more about the racial wealth gap in the country and where it came from. So I kind of pieced it together. There's some great resources by Phyllis Wiesman out there on Matthew 25. She's got 2. And there's a great book by Lisa Van Engen called And Social Justice for All. And it takes more of an approach for children and youth that has some great background and writings and some good questions and resources to consult.
Wonderful. I love how you not only took the intergenerational approach, but you took the approach of we're gonna ensure that we cover everything that needs to be covered, and everything from medical to the health debt, the history of how we've gotten here. We heard Mabry talk about colonialism and how that has played into where we find ourselves today as a country with this gap in access to basic human rights and human needs. So wonderful work that you are doing. Thank you so much, Jenna, for joining us today. We appreciate what you've done for your congregation, your community, the youth, and we look forward to hearing more from you about the work that I know is going to impact your community. So, Diane, any parting words from you?
No, just thank you. I'm really, I'm trying to figure out a way that we can include our youth when I go to do Matthew 25 presentations. And, I think what's most powerful is to see and hear them. And again, you've created that knowledge, that understanding of that expansion, that repenting, seeing the greater picture, the larger picture of what it means to be a disciple. And I think it's really powerful. And so the wheels are turning in my head. So we may be getting back to you, especially since we're doing Zoom these days, and it's easier to get people on, because as you said, Dee, today, youth it's not about tomorrow, it's about today and what they are doing and the leadership they are providing. as we get out of the way and allow the place to come where it can come forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna, I can say I've known Diane for a couple of years now, and I think I can tell when I see her wheels turning, and they are definitely turning. They were turning all throughout the conversation. So thank you for your good work, and thank you for making the time to join us today and share your story.
Thank you for having us.
Wow. You know, Dee, it's congregations like First Presbyterian and Stillwater that are finding that Matthew 25 offers opportunities for children and teens to perfect skills in how to live and how to share the good news of the gospel with other people. So I'm really excited about that. Something many adults still grapple with. They are already taking it and moving with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I know. I mean, in many ways, these are tough, complex issues that, as you say, adults still grapple with. So I think I'm going to be thinking about this conversation for a while. And I believe that it's the expanded worldviews really that are the hallmark of the Matthew 25 vision. And it's served as a catalyst for these intergenerational and intercultural conversations.
Oh, yeah.
So great stuff. Diane, we have another guest with us today.
Great.
Yeah, we're going to be.
I think I have a
You have a little inkling of who it is? Yeah, it is our own Mel Tubb who is joining us to talk about public service loan forgiveness. Mel is the loan assistance associate in our theology formation and evangelism ministry. And Mel is one of my favorite people on earth because Mel has actually helped me and my partner with our student loans. And Mel has some important news to share with us. Mel, what is going on?
Oh my goodness, Dee. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me do this. I am so happy to be here. I'm so passionate about this work and about student loan debt, and being able to do this is just, it's lighting me up. So I'm very grateful. I think it's so important, and we can see from the conversation with Mabry and Jenna that it's not lack of creativity and energy from individuals in our church that's holding us back. One of my favorite things about Matthew 25 is that it gives us a chance to think structurally. We can start thinking about what we can do in the structure to make changes that are more impactful to more people. And student loan debt is one of the structures we're facing right now that's creating massive disadvantage to the very people that we need to rely on to be able to lead us to where we want to go, to the world that we're longing to be a part of that is fair and just and equitable. So today I'm talking about a very specific program, a very specific thing that you can do right now. But I want to make sure we put that in the context of a larger problem, a problem that needs to be solved, a problem that needs to be looked at a lot more closely. So I'm going to go on into public service loan forgiveness, but I want to make sure we're all kind of sitting in that same context. So public service loan forgiveness. So there's three things to take away today. Public service loan forgiveness is a program that's available to anyone who has federal student loan debt, folks who are serving any nonprofit or public service entity. So for Presbyterians, that's congregations, that's mid-councils, that's national offices, that's or like camps and conference centers, really anything. But even for not,
if I'm a secretary at a church,
yes,
I can get student loan forgiveness.
If you're a secretary, if you're a groundskeeper, if you're a program director for a daycare that exists in a church, if you, basically any job that keeps our churches kind of functioning, qualify.
Okay.
That is such a great question, Dee. It's so true. And not even like, we're not talking about just Presbyterians. So people who don't even identify as a member of the PCUSA, this is for everyone who is serving in a nonprofit or a public service entity. That's number one, anyone. Number two is that what's happening right now in this program, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, is new. So, people could have started to be forgiven from their loans 2 or 3 years ago, and that there's a 99% decline rate on this program. It has been just a disaster, an administrative and bureaucratic nightmare, and people have just been declined after declined after declined. So there's people out there who may hear this and think, already know this is not for me. I've already lost all hope. There's nothing here for me. I want to make very, very clear that there's a good chance that that is no longer true. If you have not looked at your loans since in the last year, since July 1st of 2021, you need to look again, because things have changed. There are things that can help you. So take another look. That is my biggest ask. Just take a look. This is new.
Okay.
The number 3 is that there are changes that have been made that are temporary. And these changes affect people in a really deep way. So there's this thing called, and just hang with me, I know it's a lot of words, the limited opportunity waiver. And this is giving people a chance who have all these like weird bureaucratic administrative problems with their loans that are incredibly unfair and stupid, to fix those and to be able to get into the program. And not only that, but they can count all the service that they have provided previously, so they can backdate their service. So like a great example is take a pastor who's been serving a church for 10 years. Before last year, pastors couldn't qualify at all.
Right.
So if pastors get in, do what they need to do before October 31st, they can count all 10 years of their service, have all of their loans forgiven this year. So this is a huge, huge deal. And
okay, wait, you said yep. We have to do this by October 31st of this year?
Of this year.
So
October
the clock is
31st,
ticking.
2022. The time is running out. Now is the time.
This is limited opportunity waiver. This is number 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Limited opportunity waiver. Yes. So get in there and do it. But the other thing to keep in mind is that even if you haven't already worked for 10 years, that is okay. You still want to get in there and make sure your loans are in their right status and have all of the boxes checked so that you're able to count the time that you're serving right now. So everybody who has student loan debt needs to click the link, do the thing that we're going to talk about in a minute, to get help to try to figure out how to get in this, even if you haven't worked for 10 years. Because the program is you work for 10 years, your loans are forgiven, but you have to meet various things within that 10 years to make sure you qualify once the 10 years is up. So it's just important that you take a look, do the little tasks that need to be done right now so that you're prepared once you get to that point and you can have your loans forgiven.
Okay. And is this for are these just undergraduate loans? Are these master level loans, all loans? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is for any federal debt. So basically any student loan debt that's not private loans. So private loans don't count. But I'll say, even if you think you have private loans, don't give up, because I've actually had 2 or 3 conversations with people who thought they had private loans because they were called something else. They were a different type of federal loan through a bank, and they ended up still qualifying for public service loan forgiveness because they were actually federal loans. They were just called something weird. So don't discount yourself. Don't count yourself out. You may not qualify. You may have private loans. You may find out that you don't, and that, but at least then then you can rest assured that you've done what you need to do to find out so that and there's a peace of mind there.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I would hate for someone to assume and then miss out on this is a life-changing opportunity.
Yes,
life-changing opportunity.
It is a life-changing opportunity. And it's also really emotional. And I'd never want to leave this out, because I know firsthand, I have a ton of student loan debt. I graduated from seminary with $85,000 of debt. And I got that first bill when I was working for, a nonprofit making $27,000 a year. And they said they wanted me to pay $900 a month to my student loan. And I'm out there trying to, fulfill my call, do the thing that I want to do, that God's calling me to do. That's overwhelming. And it is debilitating, and it will shut you down and feel like you have no hope and that you cannot do this. Yep. And let me just say, I feel you. You are not alone. There are so many of us who are in exactly that same place. And it's so easy sometimes to let past inaction and past unawareness and all these things kind of affect us, our decision making right now, and debilitate, make us paralyzed. But right now is the time. Please, please, please just take a minute. Click the link, do the stuff. Let us help you. We are here to help. This is a chance for us to do something, and we're in it together. We really are. You're not alone, and you really, really can do this.
Mel, this
No,
is
you
why
said
we
there were
love you.
three things that you said there were three things to consider.
Yep.
One was the changes are temporary, the limited opportunity waiver. We talked about public service loan forgiveness, and there was a second. There was three of them.
Yes. Okay. Number one is that it's available to anyone who has federal debt and is working for a nonprofit or public service entity. So we're not just talking about pastors or Presbyterian members, or it is really any human being who has debt, federal debt, and is working for a nonprofit. Number two is that it's new. So if you've been declined before and don't think you could qualify, you may not. There's a good chance that you're wrong. that there is actually help because of these temporary changes.
Okay. And then again, the deadline is October 31st. So Mel, all of this is wonderful. What do people need to do? What's the next step for folks?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dee, and I'm really excited to answer it. So the first thing that I want to say is that we're having webinars. So we're doing monthly webinars, and these are free webinars for everyone. So no matter if you're a PCUSA member or not, or whatever, so share it with your friends who aren't PCUSA members. Tell all your people, especially if you work for a nonprofit somewhere else, like get your friends at your nonprofit to come to this webinar, and we can help them too by providing this information. We work with a company called People Joy who does an amazing job at just laying all of these things out. How do you apply? What does it mean? And they'll answer any questions you have in this webinar. So that's free for every person, anyone. And that happens on August the 25th is the next one. And that's at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then, so the other thing we're offering is for people who are in the PCUSA, we're offering free loan advising. And this is a high quality service and it's free. Let me say, you do not have to pay for this if you qualify. And this company, People Joy, will do the paperwork for you. They will fill out all the forms. They will submit them. They will follow up with your servicer. They will call your churches. They will do whatever you need them to do to make sure that you get help with this program. And that's for people who are PCUSA leaders in whatever way. If you believe in your heart that you're a PCUSA leader and you're serving the church, then go ahead and sign up. There's a good chance that we have a spot for you. And it's at least worth finding out. So, and the best news is that it's a one sign up. So you don't have to sign up multiple places. The link down below, when you sign up for the webinar, you're signing up for coaching. And even if you can't attend, if you're not available on August 25th, that's okay. You're still going to be signed up for coaching and you'll be screened in, and I'll let you know if you're in or out, but most likely you'll be in. So
is that pcusa.loaninformate//webinar? Is that what they're supposed to be signing?
Yeah, you can go. There's two things going by there. Either one will get you there. I think the pcusa.info/loan webinar. That will take you right to the Zoom sign up for the Zoom webinar, and that will sign you up for coaching. It's both things. It's very simple. Answer the questions in there and you'll be sent to the right place.
Okay. So the crawl has has two different websites. Either one will get you signed up for the webinar, for the coaching, and get you ready to go to take care and completely eliminate any federal student loans if you are currently working for a nonprofit. And it's got to be done by October 31st. The date of the webinar is August 25th at 1 p.m. Will this be recorded and available for folks who are working during that time?
Yes, it'll be recorded and I'll send it out. If you sign up for the webinar and can't go, then you'll get an email the next day that has the link to the webinar in it. And then if you go to the Loan Assist website that's down there, that also has a link to the webinar, but also has past webinars there. It has a link to frequently asked questions. It has more information about what we're offering. So that's the more general page if you just have questions. And then always you can email me. I really love it when people email me if you have questions. So my name is there. It's melanie.tubb. So just email me. This is the thing that I love the most, is to try to help people deal with this. So please just reach out. You're not alone. We can get you connected to the right place.
Okay, folks, there's no excuse at this point, right? I mean, there's no excuse. It's pcusa.org/loan assist, or email melanie.tubb@pcusa.org, melanie.tubb@pcusa.org, or pcusa.info/loan webinar. You got 3 different ways to make this happen for yourself. Melanie, this is why we love you. You are so passionate about what you do, helpful. Such a joy, always. Thank you so much for.
Yep. Kudos. I agree.
Yay.
I concur. All that Presbyterian stuff. Thanks,
I don't
Mel.
care. Just click the link, please. Just click the link. Just please click
That's
the
right.
link.
Click the link and share it.
And share it, right?
Share it.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, we've got the links in our in the chat of the I think on YouTube and on Facebook. And it's interesting that we're discussing massive loan debt that haunts young adults long after graduation, while we're talking about youth and young adults engaging in Matthew 25. Like, that's not by accident. And I understand, believe me, I understand how someone might be overwhelmed with all of the information and options that Mel just laid out. So the one thing that you need to do, remember, is attend the Zoom webinar on August 25th at 1 p.m. and everything will take care of itself. People Joy is there to help. Melanie is there to help. You've got to do this. You got to do it. The link is on the screen.
Right. And we're still talking about Matthew 25 because poverty eradication is at the heart of Matthew 25. And student loan debt, wow, it is so important to us, because the vast majority of those who default on student loans have faced persistent economic and social vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So the United States faces a student debt crisis of epic proportions.
That's right.
Student loans are now the second largest household debt behind mortgages. Isn't that is crazy, right? So I do hope everyone takes advantage of the free coaching to see if they qualify for loan forgiveness. It's better to go ahead, sign up. It's better to be turned down than not to sign up, and then you found out that you could have gotten something. So please make sure that you contact Melanie Tubb and on the crawl there, pcusa.org/loan assist for the August 25th webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everyone will take advantage of that free coaching. So thank you, Mel, for all your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Wow. Well, the parable of the talents about investing in the kingdom is very important. And we see the importance of using our blessings wisely and sharing them with others. This is what it means to follow Christ. So as we share our blessings, it doesn't just refer to monetary possessions or physical belongings, but to our time and to our talent that God gives to all of us. By sharing the Matthew 25 parable with youth, we communicate the importance of recognizing that our abilities have purpose and value and is relevant to today's world. Together, we are laying the groundwork. This focus has never been as important as it is now. The pandemic has laid bare the failures of our systems, and as Christians, we are called to actively engage the world around us. So I am so excited about what Matthew 25 is doing. It's the word of God. It's the gospel. It's Jesus' words, his story. So if you are still discerning the invitation to become a Matthew 25 church, please visit the website listed below as it's scrolling on your screen, and let us help you in the process. Again, this is gospel work. It is relevant work. We have been called to take up the cross, to follow Jesus, to transform this world so that the beloved kingdom that he talked about, some people call it kingdom, will come to pass. We are part of making that happen, empowered by the Spirit and you.
Amen. Amen. And I hope that you will join us for our next episode of Being Matthew 25 on Thursday, September 15th at 1 p.m. Until then, bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Diane.